LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
All right, so we are live on Facebook, so we're
Great.
good to go. I am going to start letting people into the meeting if y'all are okay with that.
Yep, sounds
All
good.
right, so you should start seeing people in just a few seconds.
Here they all come.
If they turn
And
their
Kelsey, are you going to spotlight Melissa and me during the conversation?
Yeah, it's going to be just the two of you.
Okay,
there, for
great.
sure. Let me see.
So many friendly names.
It's always
Hi.
exciting to
Hi,
see.
some people.
So,
Hey, hi, Savannah. Hi, Courtney. Hello, Amy.
all right. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to see everyone coming into the meeting, and everyone, I'm sure, is so excited. We're super excited to be launching or helping to launch Sea of Kings for Melissa Hope, which is so incredible. Congratulations, Melissa, on this incredible achievement. The book is beautiful, by the way. The cover art, everything is so great. We're super excited to have it in the store and to add to our middle grade section, along with Alone by Megan E Freeman, who has graciously opted into interviewing and being in conversation with Melissa on this evening. So for those of you who haven't been with us before, my name is Kelsey. I'm the events coordinator here at Tombolo Books in St. Petersburg, Florida. And we are located in the Grand Central District of St. Petersburg. And right now, I was just having a conversation with Megan about our opening to the public. We're open by appointments right now, and we're doing limited capacity shopping. But we also ship across the country and even internationally sometimes, as some of you know. So if you haven't picked up a copy of Sea of Kings yet, you should do that from Tombolo Books, because we also have really awesome bookmarks that come with it, and you're going to get a book plate inside of the book as well, signed by Melissa. So that's really exciting. So I will introduce really quickly our two amazing authors who are here. Our moderator this evening is Megan E Freeman, who attended an elementary school where poets visited her classroom every week to teach poetry, and she has been a writer ever since. She writes middle grade and young adult fiction, and her debut middle grade novel in verse, Alone, is available from Simon & Schuster and Aladdin, but you can also pick up a copy of Alone from Tombolo Books. We carry Alone for sure. And our woman of the hour, Melissa Hope, earned her degree in English and is passionate about sharing her knowledge to help writers improve their craft and connect with the writing community. She escaped the frostbite normalcy of Canadian winters to live in Florida with her family, cat, and growing collection of scuba gear. And you can visit her website and get free writing tutorials, which is super cool that you do that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa and Megan to tell you more about this really amazing book.
Yay! Happy book birthday, Melissa. It's so thrilling. Yep, it's so thrilling. And we were just talking about everything that's been going on in your life. And I assume most people here know that you're a new mom on top of being a debut author. So those of us who have been new moms can only imagine what this has been like for you. So congratulations on many fronts. We're so excited for you.
Thank you.
I was lucky enough, your publicist sent me a copy, an advanced copy, not an advanced copy, the real thing. So I got to read it and see it, and I have it in my hands, and I'm so excited for you to share it with us today. So do you want to start by telling us a little bit about the book, setting the scene, and doing a little reading?
Yes, I would love to do that. So the book is middle grade. It's a swashbuckling adventure about two brothers on a quest to rescue their family from pirates. It's got monsters, mystery, and a little bit of magic, and I think you'll really like it. So I think I'll read two things, if that's okay. I'll give you a little hint as to who these brothers are and what kind of characters they have. And then I'll share another scene from a little bit later on in the book. All right, can you all hear me okay?
You sound great.
Awesome. Okay. So this is a scene where these two brothers have just come back from somewhere they weren't supposed to be, a beach that they really weren't supposed to be at, and they just ran into their father. And to give you a little context, the one on the side here with the red hair, his name is Noah, and his little brother's name is Dagon. So Titus, their father, sighed. I see you've been swimming. Which beach did you attend? Dagon glanced sideways at Noah, a knowing look which Titus caught. Oh, boys, you weren't swimming in your skivvies again, were you? I've just about had it with all the complaints. No, we weren't, Dagon promised. Even if we did, the cliffs would have hidden us. Titus paused, a storm forming beneath his burly brow. Cliffs? Which cliffs? North, said Noah. South, said Dagon. The boys looked at one another. South, said Noah. North, said Dagon. Heat rushed into Noah's cheeks. What we mean is it was the north part of the South Cliffs. Wilson was with us. Don't worry. Dagon nodded vigorously in agreement. It wasn't the proudest moment of Noah's life when he and Dagon had invented the fake chaperone, Wilson. But seeing as it allowed them freedom to go where they wished, they weren't ready to confess. Just yesterday, Wilson had gotten Noah out of a farmer's meeting with his father, giving Noah an extra 2 hours to read in Salzo scrolls, while Dagon, by the looks of his muddy trousers, had spent his free time catching frogs again. That's what makes it fun, Dagon had said after Noah told him the frogs were deathly poisonous. Titus looked at them, scrutinizing their guilty faces. All right, confess. What did you do? So that's a little bit of like who they are. And then I thought I would try to read another exciting part that's more in the middle. And don't make fun of me because even though I wrote this, I don't know if I can do the voice quite as good as you would do it in your head. But this is where Noah is sailing for the first time by himself. Everyone else is sleeping, so it's nighttime. A loud splash startled him, and he flew forward into the wheel. The ship had stopped. Fog covered his face like a wet cloth, heavy and suffocating without the boat in motion. He hurried through the mist and found that the anchor was no longer suspended from the cathead in the bow, but had sunk to the ocean bottom. Noah glanced around uncomfortably. Ravy, is that you? Dagon? What a fine night, said a low, chilling voice. The fog iced the back of Noah's neck. Who's there? Noah hollered into the darkness. On a night just like tonight, I met a boy your age. The voice came from the water. Noah inched to the railing and leaned over the side. His gaze moved from the patch of kelp stuck to the ship's hull to the giant kelp forest floating beneath the dark sea. Where are you? Noah asked, barely above a whisper. The other boy didn't see at first, but soon they all see. Noah followed the voice and recoiled in horror. His lips parted in a silent gasp. The patch of kelp had a face, and it was staring right at him. Noah gawked at the small creature. It looked like a man, except for the distinct likeness to a grizzly bottom-dwelling fish. Its slippery blue body was half Noah's size, and long kelp-like hair descended from its bony face. The moment Noah made eye contact with its large black eyes, he was transfixed. Moving closer to the creature was the only thing that mattered to him now, and Noah leaned forward. I'll stop there.
You're going to leave us all hanging right there. Well done. And for those of you that don't have your copies of the book yet, when you get it, you'll see she writes it exactly the way it sounds with all the extra S's, and it's just as creepy as she made it sound. That was very well done, Melissa. Thank you for that. So I read in a couple of interviews, and you also allude to it in the acknowledgments in the back of the book, that the idea for this book started with you and your husband, and that you collaborated around the inspiration. I'm really curious to know how that collaboration evolved, and what the process was, and how you worked together, and if and when at some point you took over and he stepped aside, or whether he was involved all along.
Yeah, so he's like a marine biologist, so he's like all into the ocean and doing stuff. So he kind of came up with the original idea of the world, with like kingdoms being on these islands. And then he brought it to me and we worked together. But at the beginning, it was more just kind of like a hobby that we did whenever we were on a car ride or being bored. We'd be like, oh, let's talk about our book, you know. Eventually I did take control, and I just was like, I'm going to write this thing. After I graduated from my bachelor's, I just kind of sat down and wrote the whole thing, did a bunch of drafts, sent it off to some beta readers. And then after we kind of realized how much work it needed to have, that's when I just like full on took it. And I would still talk with him, and he was always reading my drafts with me, but it was me that kind of like wrote it, because yeah, that's what I'm good at.
So did he give you suggestions and ideas for aspects of the marine creatures and things like that? Are those drawn from actual marine biology creatures that really live in the world?
Well, there's a lot of real animals, yeah. And like the octopus that I kind of made up, it's like not a rare thing to have electricity with sea animals. So that's something like that. It does exist in different animals that are in the ocean. And I did like a ton of research too. So I can't even remember if he came up with it. He was really good though for like tides and ship lingo and things like that too, that I'd just be like, if you're here at nighttime at this time, what would the tide be like? And he would tell me. So yeah, that was kind of nice to have him there in my corner.
Yeah, it's like an in-house expert. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Did you when you're writing fantasy like that, and you're adding elements of magic, I would imagine there were times when you wanted to be true to the real ocean and the real tides and biology and things, and then there might be times when you want to just do something that's imaginary because you can't, right? Because you need to for the story. Did he ever ask you or say that would never happen or something like that? Like, did he fact check you in ways that changed the fantasy at all?
I'm sure he did. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Like we talked so much about it that we'd bounce ideas off each other all the time. So yes, I can't think of a particular spot right now, but I owe a lot to him.
It's so fun. It's so fun to imagine you working together. And as you know, writing is such a solitary, isolated process for most of the time. So to have a collaborator like that must be really, really fun, especially one that you actually get to live with and talk to every day and all of that. As I was reading it evokes so many books that I love, and stories that I love. And you already used the word swashbuckling. It's totally swashbuckling. And it made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it made me think of Peter Pan. There are some scenes that actually made me think of Peter Pan, right? When the Lost Boys are fighting the pirates and everything. And then there's also what feel to me like allusions to the Odyssey with some of the sea creatures that Odysseus encounters on his quest. And I mean, there's so much in this book. There's so many rich opportunities for kids to explore those kinds of imaginary worlds. And I'm really curious as to how you came up with the names that you used, because you invent everything from the larger community that they're in and their island, and then the individual names for the characters. So can you talk a little bit about where those came from?
So I think that a lot of them were kind of just like random thoughts in my head for like the names of the places. And I think I probably got some inspiration from some Norse mythology. Like I remember thinking, oh, I should do Ragnarok. And then I realized later that was real and I'd heard it from somewhere, but like those kind of like rough sounding things I liked. And then for names of characters, I ended up changing them a lot. So originally they were probably a lot more boring. And then I realized, oh, I've got like 5 characters in here that start with A, and I need to change that, because when you read over a book, you usually actually don't read the whole word. If you think you know what the word's going to be, like your mind just like tells you what they think it's going to be. So with all these A names, it actually slowed down the reading. So I had to change it and make it difficult, make it easier to read with such a large cast.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. It is a large cast. Did you have to create a system to keep track of people, or to like, did you organize the characters in any kind of a way as you were going through and plotting?
I did. I wrote like descriptions about them and like things, kind of like a profile for each character to help me. And then I tried to constantly remind the reader, okay, this person's a baker, or this person's father is a sailor, so that you remember as well. Because I know it's a lot, but also I really wanted them to ride in somewhat of a regular sized ship. And with a ship, you actually have to have at least like 8 people to sail it. So I needed a large cast to realistically sail a 2-mast ship.
Did you know anything about sailing before you started this?
No.
Wow. You must have had to do a lot of research about all that stuff.
I did a lot. I did a lot of research, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. It's very appropriate too that this book launch is happening on the Florida coast, that we're being hosted by a bookstore that's right there near the water. Cause I was imagining sort of, the Gulf when I pictured the ocean and pictured the islands and everything with that beautiful Caribbean blue water,
Yeah, it was such a blessing to move to Florida. Completely unrelated to the book, but it was really inspiring. And like, I think I could really feel and taste and smell what it's like to be in the tropics, because I live in Florida.
Nice. That's awesome. So was there one scene, or were there any scenes in particular that were really hard to write? Is there one that sort of stands out as the hardest one?
I think the ending threw me for a loop for a long time. It was really tough to figure out. Like, I knew kind of what I wanted, but it was hard to kind of connect all these loose ends and then give it that like punch that I was hoping it would give. So I do remember writing that many times over. Like it changed. I mean, some of the people watching probably read an early draft and they're gonna reread it and be like, oh, this is not even the same book.
So did you know how, when you started off, did you know what the story was going to be? Did you have a plot sort of already outlined, or did you discover it as you went?
So I actually discovered it as I went in the beginning, but I wish I hadn't. Well, it is what it is because of what I went through, but I wouldn't go through that again if I didn't have to, because it took me years. Now that I kind of know what a plot is, and like an inciting incident, or how to craft a hook and midpoints, all those like structure things, I think if I wrote another book today, it would require less editing, because I just have like more experience.
Sure.
So yeah, it didn't have a plot at the beginning, which is why it was really hard to edit, but eventually I kind of worked backwards and got it to be what I wanted.
So when you first got the idea, when you and your husband were brainstorming it, did you start with the idea of the land and the sort of the world, or did you start with the characters? What was sort of the very first seed of all of that?
I actually wrote it in my journal. It was the world and a prince. We had the idea that there would be a prince and some sort of invasion happening, and then like the world. But that was kind of it. I didn't have Dagon in there right away. He came really soon. I don't know how, that he just, how when you write, they just kind of like appear and happen, and you're like, oh, great. You're writing, like they just kind of like come out of your head, like they're telling you what to say. So it was quickly on that Dagon came into the picture, but at the very beginning, he wasn't there.
That's so cool. So then in the process of working, either before you sold it and when you were still revising on your own, or after Jollyfish acquired it and you started working with your editor, were there scenes that you edited out that didn't make the final cut, that aren't in the story?
There's the scenes were not too bad, but there were some issues. So I had like this vibe of like Lord of the Flies, like it was really just guys. And my lovely editors were so kind, and they just pointed out, you need more girls in this book. So I did add some more girls very late on, like after I'd already sold it. I had to add some girls, and also the girls that existed, I needed to give them bigger roles.
Interesting.
So yeah, they were always like, Alia was always there, Ravi was always there, but I needed to like up their game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. When you said Lord of the Flies, I'm like, that is not middle grade. that is very mature, right? Did you ever play with who you wanted? Did you know from the beginning this was going to be a middle grade book, or did you ever play with the possibility of it being YA or targeting an older crowd?
Well, I've got a long history. It was actually a young adult originally. I actually got an agent for it as a young adult, and it was sort of written the way it is though. So it just, we figured out after we submitted it a couple times, it was like, this is not supposed to be a young adult. And so we changed it to be like the content to be more kid-like, because my writing style is more for middle grade audiences. So I definitely thought about it.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned how long you worked on it. How do you know, have you done the math to figure out how many years this actually took you?
If I'm going from like the time that it was created in my head, like the first idea, it would be like 9 years. Yeah. Long time.
Yeah. And I know you also work on picture books, right? So I'm wondering how the experience of publishing this book changed your writing process, if it did at all, and if you tend to have a different approach when you're working on picture books as opposed to when you're working on novels.
Yeah, I think that novels, since they're so long, I do feel like I have to plan them out a lot more. If for anyone who's writing a book right now that's watching, Save the Cat Writes a Novel is a great book. It kind of outlines this structure that a lot of best-selling stories have. And so I kind of followed that in writing novels. With picture books, I have to write the whole thing as soon as I think of it, because if I don't write it right away and I just write the idea, then I've lost kind of the voice that I had originally. If I just wrote like, oh, a cat wants a friend, it's like, what idea was this? Like I can't use it anymore. So I have to write the whole book like as soon as I think of the idea, or at least as much as I can think of.
That's great. What was an early experience in your life when you first learned that language had power, and when you started thinking that you might want to be an author?
I've been writing for a long time. I wrote in my journal. My dad wrote in my journal for me when I was like 2-3 years old. And then I think I remember the first time I ever wrote in it myself was September 11th, like 9/11. Because I actually, like, I was very young, but I realized this is a big deal. And I was in Canada too, but I could tell that something big was happening. But I actually liked poetry. I wrote poetry as a kid. And that was something that, I know, you'd love that.
Yeah.
Yes, Megan's book is like written in poems. Alone is written in poems. So yeah, I wrote poetry, and I kind of realized, oh, like if I write certain ways, or I could really make my mom cry, or so that's probably where I first realized, like, I can do something with this. And I kind of wrote novels way later, but yeah.
Wow. So just the image of your dad scribing for you before you were old enough to do it yourself, and talk about imparting the idea that language is important, right? And powerful, that somebody, such a prominent figure in your childhood, would take the time to do that, is a really, there's a picture book there that I think you should write. And I also think you could write a book about journaling for the first time on 9/11. That feels like the beginning of a middle grade book to me. That's a powerful image. Those are amazing experiences, and that you remember them so clearly. Do you still have your journals?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty great. That's amazing. If you, thinking about that younger writer that you were, if you could tell her anything, or give her any guidance or advice, or disabuse her of any notions, what would you want to say to her?
Probably have patience and do your research. I mean, like, I did do my research, but I wish I had some of the resources I have now way back. Like, I think they should have, like, Save the Cat is a really good, like, I think they should teach that in school, honestly. Like, and yeah, and patience is really big when you're trying to publish traditionally.
Yeah. Thinking about using Save the Cat Writes a Novel in schools is a really interesting idea. And even if it weren't being used actively as a tool for teaching writing, it'd be a really cool lens through which to teach literature, right? And to look at the structure of literature and sort of deconstruct it that way too. That's a cool idea. You should teach that class, Melissa.
Hey,
There you go.
I'd love to teach at schools and visit schools. So maybe I should try that angle. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Especially if you wanted to target high school, where they could really dig into some deep stuff. That'd be really cool.
Like
Write that down. So I have with me this magic wand that is from when I used to teach in schools. I used it often. And I'm wondering if you could wave a magic wand over this beautiful book. And by the way, this book not only has a great cover, but it also has wonderful illustrations at the beginning of each chapter. And not every middle grade book does that. And they're so beautiful, and they're different at the beginning of every chapter. And they really help set the world that the story is taking place in. I really loved that detail. But if you could take a magic wand and wave it over this book and grant a wish for this book, like the fairy godmothers do over the baby's cradle, what would you want to give this book for its future life? What wish would you want this book to have come true?
Oh, you did tell me this, you were going to say this earlier, and I tried to think of one thing, but there's so many.
You can have as many wishes as you want. It's your book birthday.
I think that, like, right now, I just really would love for it to inspire or like touch someone the way that books have touched me as a kid and as an adult. Like, you know, when I think back on some of the books that made the biggest impact, I really wish that my book can make an impact like that too with someone. You know, I think that would be the biggest, like, amazing thing that could happen, is if it could really like change someone or make them like never forget it. And then if I'm gonna be like a little pipe dream right now, it would be so cool, I think, to see this turned into film. I feel like it's got a lot of film potential.
Yeah.
So many action scenes and, you know, like all this crazy stuff. So that would be really cool.
Yeah. I thought the same thing when I read it. Totally. Yeah. It's very cinematic, I think. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I actually thought the same thing about your book too. I was like, I can see this, you know, like Reese Witherspoon Jr. over here, like this little girl alone. I think everyone would love to see their story put on a big screen, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a great dream. I think that's totally
realistic.
realistic. You mentioned the books that you loved as a child and that you hope Sea of Kings can be like that for young readers today. Can you think of any of those books right off the top of your head, the ones that did that for you?
Well, okay, Harry Potter, so good. Ella Enchanted, actually. I never connected with a character until I read that book, and I was like, whoa, and I never forgot it too, because it was the first time that I really like felt like I was her. And that's one that I wasn't too happy with the way they filmed the movie.
Yeah.
But the book, like, oh my gosh, it was really good. And the Boxcar Children, like, you know, just being like alone, and those are the books that are coming to my head right now.
Well, I think Sea of Kings has definite Harry Potter vibes too, for sure. Some of the, you know, the young boy on his own, and the fantastical, powerful obstacles and all of that. I can totally see that this is descended in the tradition of Harry Potter, for sure. So should we invite Kelsey back and open it up to some questions from the audience?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelsey.
Hi everyone. It's been so great to hear all of your insights, Melissa, and amazing questions, Megan. And I just want to invite anyone who is in the audience, feel free to throw your questions in the chat for Melissa, and I will relay those out there. Right now, we just have a lot of congratulations and how exciting, and people can't wait to get their hands on the book. So that's really incredible. Oh, we got some questions coming in. So what was your favorite part to write? This is from Brooke.
Ooh, hey Brooke. My favorite scene or character?
Part. So why don't you do both? Why don't you go with both?
I think I really enjoyed writing the Blue Men scene. That was cool. Like the one that I read for you guys earlier. That one was one of the first scenes I wrote, and I really liked how creepy it was. And I think anything with Dagon was so fun. He's just such a character.
Well, along those same lines, Savannah asked, what was the hardest scene to write?
So, well, I did say earlier that writing the end was very difficult, but another scene that was hard to write was probably the beginning. The very first chapter is really hard to like get it right, because I mean, you got to hook someone on the first page or else they're gone. So I think I had trouble with that too. Megan knows how it is.
Ruthie asked if you could add or take something away from the book, add or take away something, what would it be?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe I guess since it's my own book, I would like to expand on the world even more, but I know I was limited because people don't want to read like a 2,000 book page book. But
okay, but I have a tangential question related to that one, which is, it certainly feels like it ends leaving the possibility for a sequel open. Is there a possibility that this could be the first of a series?
Yes, so I do have a series planned out. And since I'm with a smaller publishing company, we are going to wait a little longer before we can like officially get into book 2. So that's why I do like love you guys, because your support you're not just like fueling this Sea of Kings dream right here, but your support is helping me with my whole career, because with you I can keep the series going. So yeah, I do have more books in store, and I hope that I can write them.
Okay, so can I just say to everyone who's here are 3 things you can do to help Melissa's career. First of all, buy your book from Tombolo Books, because you'll get those wonderful things, the swag, and you'll help this great little bookstore in Florida. Secondly, post reviews on Goodreads and Amazon after you read them and make the reviews glowing. Give her 5 stars because those algorithms actually really help. And then third, go to your local library or libraries, as many local libraries as you have around you, and request the book from the libraries, because when the libraries get those requests, then they place orders and they actually purchase the books for their collections. And then when the book comes into the library, you can just go pick it up and then return it the next day. Since you will already have your book, you will already have read it. But buying it from an independent bookstore, reviewing it on Goodreads and Amazon, and requesting it at your local libraries, those are all huge ways that you can help Melissa launch this book into the stratosphere. So that's my public service announcement.
Thank you, Megan. And please do the same with Megan's book too, because it's awesome. I've already read it and I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Are you up for taking some more questions from the audience? You have a ton.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. Amy asked, as a fellow author of little ones, how do you wrangle with little ones? So as a fellow author, as an author and mom, how do you wrangle writing time with now being a new mom?
I don't have a magic formula except that I have to do it when they're sleeping. So I do spend a lot of time writing at night. I could wake up early too. I know a lot of mothers wake up before the kids and write, but I'm not a morning person, so my writing time's often like midnight, 1 a.m.
Yeah, I can imagine that gets a little like trying to balance all of that can be pretty difficult. I'm not a morning person either, so everything I do happens like way later than it should probably. What does this world you've created? So this question was answered, asked about series potential. Courtney asked about series potential. So we have that answer, which is very, very exciting. And Tableau can't wait to help you launch the next one in this series. What character do you see yourself in? This is from Crystal.
I probably see myself in, well, they're all from my head, but probably Noah the most, I guess. He's, I'm not like super daring. In fact, like I am actually kind of afraid of the ocean sometimes, like, which is kind of crazy to think, but that I'm Noah when it comes to that. He's afraid of the ocean. I'm kind of afraid of going deep in the ocean. And so yeah, I probably find a lot of similarities with him and his character and just kind of finding that confidence in yourself. I feel like I could relate to that.
I have a kind of follow-up question to that. What character would you like to emulate more, I guess, in your life? Is there a character that you wrote them and you were like, oh, actually, this is a character I wish I could kind of take in some of their attributes?
Maybe Alia. I have a lot of thoughts about her that I probably didn't get to put in this book, but she's kind of like a person that's supposed to be really strong and at the same time very feminine, and I don't know, I like her.
Yeah. So someone asked, Carrie asked, what the grade level that you think this book is really geared towards?
Well, it is a middle grade, so it's like 8 to 12-ish, but I would say it's upper middle grade. So more towards 10, 11, and 12 is probably the sweet spot of who would like it. But I do feel like it's pretty easy to read for younger kids who like to read bigger books, and even older young adult kids who like to read simpler stories.
Yeah,
I think it could also be really good as a read aloud in elementary classrooms for kids who maybe it's too big a project for them to take on for themselves. But if the teacher was reading it to them, I think it could work really nicely.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be so awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
I like this question. And you mentioned a little bit about having to sort of strengthen up some of the female voices in this book. But what did you find was the most difficult thing about writing characters of the opposite sex?
This kind of threw me. I don't know. I guess I did probably have to ask a few times what they care about, like because I do remember actually, I think Megan asked me what my husband did. There was a few times where I said something or I described something and my husband was like, guys, don't think about that. So I know there's definitely been moments where I was throwing my girliness at them, but yeah, I guess just trying to get in the head of a young boy had its challenges, but yeah.
Someone asked, what's your approach to reading like reviews of your work? Do you like go in and like read the comments about your work like on Amazon or Goodreads? Would you read that, or do you try to like avoid them and just sort of let it live on the internet?
Well, I have been counseled by many authors not to read reviews, and I kind of do stand by it. There's been there are reviews that I've read, and if you review it and tag me, I will see it. So hopefully you don't tag me if you give me like a 1-star, but yeah, like I think that it doesn't really do a ton of good to read bad reviews, and I don't know, it's out there, it's for you. I don't need to like touch it anymore. So I'm trying to stay away from that. But I would love, like, if you want to tell me how much you liked it, I would love to hear how much you liked it.
Yeah, definitely. Someone wanted to shout out Ravi and Alia, who they love those characters. Alia, am I saying it right?
I usually pronounce it Alia.
Alia? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they just really love those characters, and we're super excited about those characters. Do you intend to have the book translated at all?
That's not quite up to me, but I would love to have it translated in French, particularly because I am Canadian. So that would probably be like my first choice of which language. And then, yeah, it would be awesome if it was translated.
Absolutely. So it looks like that's where audience questions, feel free to keep bringing them in. Megan, I'll toss it back to you if there are any like questions that you had left over that you'd like to share with Melissa and get some more thoughts going.
My only thought was just to affirm what you said, Melissa, about not reading the reviews. And I have found Alone has been out now since mid-January, and I don't think I've revisited my Goodreads page since it came out. But I also had the experience of feeling like this actually isn't my book anymore. This book is now out in the world and has a life of its own and belongs to the readers, and their relationship to the book is not exactly my business. And that wasn't an intellectual thought that came to me so much as a feeling that happened after the launch. And so it'll be interesting to see what your experience is to the book and how your relationship to it changes once it's been out there in the world for a while. But I agree with you. I don't know that much good comes from reading the bad reviews, and people who have negative reviews are not always careful about how they frame things. And life is way too short to suffer from that. The only thing I do is I pay attention to when the book gets a blog review, like if someone features it on their blog, I pay attention to that because that's nice publicity as opposed to something on Goodreads or Amazon. So I just affirm your instincts about that. I'm not sure that anything good comes of it, and you can really go down a rabbit hole. And as you said, if you're staying up until 12 or 1 in the morning in order to have time to write, then don't waste any of that time that you have reading reviews. There's a lot of other things you could be doing that will serve you better.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out too about blogs, because that's not what I was thinking when I was thinking reviews, like Amazon, Goodreads.
Yeah.
If someone were to do a blog, like a full post on it, that I would definitely give that attention to them and thank them, because a lot of time on their part to write
Exactly.
a review like that. So.
Yeah. And those posts should help find other readers, which is always really great.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a couple more questions come in if you're up for them.
Sure.
Cassie asked, why did you choose to write from the perspective of boys versus girls? Like, was it just something that was like natural to you, and like when you were going with these characters, it was just that's how the character sort of presented itself to you?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel, I don't know why, but I feel a little more comfortable writing from the perspective of a boy than from a girl. And it kind of just came naturally. And then I did try playing around with first person, and I felt like I wasn't as comfortable doing that too. So it just kind of, what felt right for this story and these characters ended up being a boy in third person. But I would love to work on that. Like, I would like to try to write from a girl's perspective in a different book, or first person. Like, I would really like to grow as an author and try new things. So yeah.
And another kind of like technical question, does the book come in hardcover, or are we just getting it in paperback?
It's just paperback. I wish it was hardcover.
It's beautiful though. And you know what, sometimes I actually, as a reader, sometimes I actually like the paperback better because it gives me a little bit more mobility with the book. Like, I can sort of manipulate it a little bit better. So especially with kids, you know, I think they have like an easier time. So I love that it's in paperback and it's so beautiful. And someone Crystal also said it's gorgeous and they love paperback.
Yeah.
So,
and it's more affordable. So, you know, many more people may be able to purchase it than if it was in hardback. So I think that's a big deal too.
Can you tell us about the artwork for the cover?
Sure. So most people, I don't know what your experience was, Megan, with the art for your cover, because yours is gorgeous too. But I think a lot of authors don't get to really give their input on what covers look like, but I got to do a ton of input. It was awesome. So they asked me, first of all, they asked me like, oh, what kind of scenes do you think, or they asked me what I thought I wanted. And I said, I want a scene. And they're like, yeah, we agree. So then we kind of threw around ideas of which scenes to do. The artist picked out 2 that they liked, and they got me to write like a huge long description of the scene, like who's in the scene and what do they look like, how tall are they, what color is their hair, what's going on in the scene, all these things. And then from those 2, he or she, sorry, I can't even remember if it's he or she, there was 2 people that worked on it, but yeah, they came up with a sketch, and then I got to see the sketch and I was like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. And we just tweaked a few things, and then yeah, and then it was done. I actually did a YouTube video about the whole process of how we created the cover, because I did think it was just out of this world gorgeous, and I really felt blessed to not only have a cover like this because it's so pretty, but also to like have a say in it. And and the words too. So the words, I really wanted words to have some sort of like I wanted them to be like in the scene and not just on top. But I'm not the one who thought of smoke. That was them. So I really like loved that they thought of that.
I think it's interesting too that I'm looking on the copyright page. The cover illustration and the interior illustrations are 2 different artists. And I always was wondering about that. Like, I'm thinking of the Harry Potter books, and it feels like on Harry Potter, the cover and the interior illustrations are by the same artist. Maybe they're not, but your cover was done by someone named Juan Manuel Moreno, and the interior illustrations were by Jake Nordby. And so I wonder, that makes me curious about whether Jake Nordby, the interior illustrator, studied the cover, you know, like what's the relationship or the conversation back and forth between the art on the cover and the art inside the book. But I don't know, but it's kind of fun to think about.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that. I was talking to them and I didn't even catch that. I did get to have a say in the illustrations in the book as well. So so yeah, they like asked me like what kind of things I wanted to highlight, and that was really cool. And they just did such a good job with it.
Well, they have that feeling too of like an old-fashioned treasure map, like the illustrations that might show up in the corners of an old treasure map or something like that.
Yeah, for sure they do. I love it. It's like sketched in, and it definitely, and even like the font, I feel like the whole make of it, Jollyfish Press, my publisher, did a really good job. So I'm really, really happy with it.
And we have another quick question for you. I'm gonna kind of group these two together because they're similar. So what was your motivation to start your YouTube channel? And Savannah says you have so many helpful videos. And what's one tip for querying? Oh, sorry, we'll get to that one. But what's one of the most, what's a tip you would like to share with authors just starting out, I guess? And you have this YouTube channel, so what's your, like, if you could share like one or two things with authors, what would it be?
For authors that are starting out? So I do get to talk to a lot of aspiring authors all the time. I talk to them on my YouTube channel, I talk to them on my Instagram, and I've noticed that a lot of people are not doing research enough. And then when they don't do enough research, they get disappointed with things that they could have prevented. So like, just make sure you like find the resources that you need to find, like how to write a book in the first place, and then how to find critique partners and readers that can help you improve it. That's very important. And then if you want to publish it, going through all of the places to find how to publish it the way you want, if you want to self-publish, traditional publish, and just like researching the agents and editors. There's a ton of work goes into this. You don't want to write like a huge long novel without realizing, kids' books are not supposed to be 100,000 words. Now I have to like cut it down. You could have prevented writing that if you'd done a little more research. So research. And hopefully my YouTube channels can be one of those resources. I do feel like that's probably why I started it. I didn't want people to have to unnecessarily go through years of work to just be like shut down with a simple like, oh, this is too long, or this content is not the right for the right age. So hopefully for anyone who's watching who is writing, that they are finding places to do that. There's another book too. I wish I had it with me right now. It's called, it's by the Book Doctors, and it's called I'll post about it on my Instagram, but it's like how to publish a book. It's kind of like, that book for pregnant people that's like super thick. What's it called?
What to expect when you're expecting?
Yes, it's like what to expect when you're expecting, but for publishing. So it's like a very informative, thick book about every single possible thing that you could encounter in publishing and what to do about it. It's really, really
I just found it. I'll put it in the chat. It's called The Essential Guide to Getting Your Book Published.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, that's a really, really good book too, for all things writing a book.
Can you talk about, this is the other question, what's one query tip for querying authors that you would give? I know you kind of talked a little bit about like the publishing process, but talk to me about finally getting to Jollyfish Press, I guess, and like what that process was like.
How I got picked up by Jollyfish?
Yeah, sort of like what was your process for querying publishers and things like that?
Well, querying is a headache and a half. It's kind of like you write this whole giant book, and then to be able to condense it in like one page for some reason is very difficult. But yeah, like I worked on a query for a long time. I got an agent. We kind of worked the book around, and then there was a time where me and my agent parted ways. So after that, I decided to, yeah, Amy, quarrying is rough. I decided after my agent and I parted ways that I was just gonna like, what the heck, I'm going to enter a Twitter contest. So on Twitter, sometimes they have pitch contests where you can pitch your novel in a tweet. It was very, very short. And I did that, and that's how I found Kelsey, who's the editor at Jellyfish Press. And so she requested the book and we worked together, got a book deal. So it's not, I didn't go like the traditional way, I guess, but I feel like it's very good to write a query, even if you don't want to get an agent, because a lot of what's on a query is actually like what's on the back of the book. You know, you pitch it in a way that people want to read it. So even if you aren't planning on querying agents or you're not sure, you still should look into practicing writing your book in like a paragraph and getting it that way. And hopefully it works out.
Yeah, well, it definitely worked out for you. So even if it wasn't like super traditional in the way, obviously you got here, and that's incredible. And again, like, just congratulations. I mean, publishing a book is just an incredible feat. So congratulations on Sea of Kings' birthday, and congratulations to you. And I want to give you and Megan the last words, basically. So I'm going to say thank you to everyone who is here and who stuck around with us this evening and hung out with us this evening and listened to Melissa and Megan, and pick up your copy of Sea of Kings with the cool bookmark and a book plate from Tombolo Books. We'll be excited to ship those out to everyone. So thank you.
Kelsey, do you want to drop the link to the order, to your ordering page
again
in the chat? Yeah, that'd be great.
There it is.
Yay. Yay. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. It's so exciting. I'm excited to see what comes next for you. And I hope that you will be able to take the next few weeks and really just relax and let the book do the work now. You've done all you need to do for the time being.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Megan. Like, I had so much fun with you tonight, and I really appreciate all that you did behind the scenes to help me with this. And thank you, Tombolo Books and Kelsey. You are wonderful. I'm so happy I could launch with you and support your store. If you guys are haven't already ordered, please order through them. They have awesome staff, so kind, and they also have signed books and book plates, which a little extra incentive there. She's showing the awesome bookmarks there. So thank you so much. And also, if you do have the book, please share it with your friends, share it on social media, tag me. I would love to see how you're enjoying it and getting to know the characters that I've loved for so long.
Absolutely. Thank you both again. And we'll look forward to seeing y'all at some of the other really great Tombolo events. And we'll look forward to shipping out, no pun intended, Sea of Kings very soon. So
Yay.
y'all have a great evening.
Thank
you.